Discover the incredible moment she slapped her blind date. What he revealed changed everything. Jessica never thought a blind date could send her world spinning. The fluorescent lights of the Maplewood diner blinked like stars as she half-heartedly arranged her hair. Her friends had insisted, desperate to see her smile, to let her enjoy a moment outside the bubble of responsibility that defined her life as a single mother. With Mia off with friends, Jessica reluctantly sat down across from Tom, a supposed businessman from the city. She expected nothing, only nausea churning in her stomach like the grease in the fryer. "Nice place you got here," Tom said, his voice dripped with the charm that often masked judgment. "So, you're a waitress?" With a casual flick of his wrist, he waved around the diner, his tone dripping with condescension. Something inside Jessica snapped. The years of scrounging for every dollar, the relentless battle to provide a life for Mia, each one flashing before her eyes like neon lights gone too bright. She slapped him across the face, the sound echoing even louder than the laughter of nearby patrons. Gasps filled the air, and she felt as if time froze. For a fleeting moment, silence enveloped the diner. Then, as if a switch flipped, the buzz returned, swirling around them. Tom, still stunned, wiped his cheek, his charming facade cracking. "You might not know this," he said, voice steady, "but I'm a veteran. I didn't just serve coffee on a tray, I served our country in combat." His calmness struck her like a thunderbolt. Behind his polished exterior lay scars of humanity she couldn't yet see. He spoke of duty, of unjust stereotypes, and of fighting both on the battlefield and against prejudices that chased him like shadows. Jess's heart raced, the anger that once fueled her slap melting into intrigue. Maybe this blind date was meant to be more than just a formality. "Do you think I chose this?" Jessica retorted, emotions bundled in her throat. "Do you think I'm proud to work here? I fight against judgment with every coffee I pour." Her chest tightened, feeling both vulnerable and empowered. Around them, whispers of disbelief painted a backdrop to their conversation, but the world felt small now. As they shared pieces of their stories, their barriers began to blur. Both had fought battles, each wrung out by society's harsh labels. They were connected, yet so far apart like the moon hiding behind clouds. The chatter in the diner wrapped around them until it became white noise, pushing them closer to understanding each other's struggles. Just as Jessica sensed a warm flicker of hope brewing, a loud crash broke the moment. A table tipped over, food flying through the air. The murmur of the crowd shifted suddenly back onto them, a collective judgment radiating off the diners. Jessica's heart sank. "Do you think anyone else cares about who we really are?" she asked, fear creeping into her words. The tension hung thick in the air. Could two people from different worlds overcome the stigma of their realities? "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. The flatness of the spilled soda mirrored her inner turmoil. Both she and Tom had received their share of labels, weighed down by the expectations of others. Could they find common ground, or would the night end in shame? As the laughter resumed around them, uncertainty lingered, but one truth remained: sometimes the strongest connections are forged in the heat of conflict. Would they embrace the chance to understand one another, or let the judgments of others crush the flicker of hope ignited between them? The air crackled with tension. Jessica looked away, taking a deep breath to steady her racing heart. The laughter around them felt distant now, like echoes of a world she was desperately trying to escape. Tom's gaze held hers, a strange mix of understanding and surprise replacing his earlier smugness. "Let me say this," he started, his voice low but firm, "I get it. People have no idea what we carry, the weight of our stories." Jessica nodded, her lips pressed together in a thin line. She wasn't sure how to respond. Did he really understand? Every day felt like a battle for her, juggling work, parenting, and the constant fear of failing Mia. Out of nowhere, a woman at a nearby table burst into laughter, pointing at the mess on the floor. Jessica flinched, mortified. "See?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "That's exactly what I'm talking about. No one cares enough to see the real us." Tom's eyes softened. "But what if we showed them? What if we didn't let them decide who we are?" His words hovered in the air like a lifeline, and Jessica felt her chest tighten again, this time with a glimmer of hope. "I don't know if I can," she replied, her honesty cutting through the noise. "You can," he insisted, leaning forward, his intensity drawing her in. "We can. Together." Jessica bit her lip. A sense of camaraderie began to wrap itself around them. Maybe there was something to be gained from owning their stories. Maybe they could refuse to be defined by anyone else. Then, with a rhythmic clang, the waitress returned, clearing the debris from the neighboring table and disrupting their moment. She placed a fresh plate of food in front of Tom, oblivious to the intensity of the conversation. "On the house," she said, glancing at Jessica with a knowing look before bustling away. "Guess that's a little kindness in the chaos," Tom commented, taking a bite as he regarded Jessica with renewed sincerity. "Do you really think we can change how people see us?" she asked, fighting back the vulnerability that tugged at her heart. "I don't just think it," he said, swallowing hard. "I believe it's the only way we can truly live. But it starts with us." His declaration sent warmth coursing through her. The fear of judgment started to thaw, replaced by anticipation. Wouldn't it feel freeing to stop hiding? To stand tall against the odds? Just then, Jessica's phone buzzed on the table, breaking their connection. Her heart sank as she checked the screen. There was a message from Mia's friend, asking if Jessica would pick up her daughter soon. "I have to go," she said abruptly, feeling the weight of parental duty pushing against the moment they had created together. Can I walk you out?" Tom asked, hope flickering in his eyes. She hesitated, knowing the world outside bore no promises. Still, Jessica nodded. As they walked side by side, the crowd around them seemed less intimidating. Laughter mingled with their footsteps, and for the first time in a long while, Jessica felt something shift within her. They reached the diner entrance, but before they stepped into the cool night, Jessica turned to him, her heart pounding. "Tom, maybe this isn't just a blind date after all." Before she could finish, a loud horn blared from the street, interrupting her train of thought. She looked back at Tom, seeing the determination in his eyes, leaving her breathless. What would happen if they dared to break free from the shadows? As possibilities spun in her mind, Jess couldn't shake the feeling that the next chapter of her life was waiting just outside that door. "Are you ready?" he asked. Jessica took a deep breath, the weight of uncertainty still lingering. "I think so." But as they stepped into the night, both knew this was only the beginning. Would they have the courage to rewrite their narratives together? The chill of the night air wrapped around Jessica as they stepped out of the diner, a sharp contrast to the warmth inside. The streetlights flickered, casting a soft glow that illuminated Tom's face, framing the determination in his eyes. She felt a mix of excitement and fear. One foot was hesitant to move down the path they were about to take. "I should have told you before," she said, her words tumbling out as they walked. "I'm not just a mother. I have an entire life of dreams I've pushed aside." It felt liberating, sharing that piece of herself with him. Tom stopped in his tracks, turning to face her. "Then let us talk about them. What's your dream, Jessica?" His piercing gaze encouraged her to dive deeper, to unravel the layers of her life she had been so careful to hide. She hesitated. Her dream, was it even still alive? "I used to want to be a writer," she confessed, heart pounding in her chest. "But after Mia was born, everything changed. It was like putting my dreams into a box and locking it up tight." Why? His tone was gentle, coaxing, yet fierce. You can't do that. You deserve more. You are more. The intensity of his words struck a chord within her. She opened her mouth to respond, but the words tangled in her throat. Listen, he said, taking a step closer. It's never too late to follow those dreams. Just like we're here now, facing our fears. We owe it to ourselves to fight for what we want. Jessica felt a surge of emotion rise up. Could she really dare to chase after what once felt lost? Could she allow herself that kind of hope? But in the midst of her thoughts, the world around them suddenly intruded, a raucous group of revelers laughing loudly as they stumbled down the street. Their carefree joy felt foreign to Jessica, and for just a moment, she recoiled. She was reminded of the burden she carried, her responsibilities, and the days of solitude spent silently wishing for more. Let them celebrate, Tom said, sensing her shift. Let them have their fun. This is our moment. His confidence nudged her toward the edge of something new, something alive. For the first time in a long time, she felt the mantle of her fears begin to lift. What if I fail? She whispered, vulnerability creeping in again. Then you try again, he replied fiercely, a spark of conviction igniting in his voice. You don't have to do it alone. I'm here. His promise struck her straight through the heart. This wasn't just a blind date, this could be the start of an adventure that might redefine everything. An electric silence enveloped them for a moment, the city buzzing around them while they stood there, lost in each other's eyes. Jessica felt a fierce yearning pulse in her chest. Could she really take that leap? Just then, her phone buzzed again, another message from Mia's friend, reminding her of the evening responsibility waiting at home. The reality of her life encroached at the edges, and she felt panic bubble back up. I have to get Mia soon. Before she could pull back, Tom's hands closed around her arms, grounding her. You can take a small step now. Just hold on to this feeling. We can continue talking, exploring your dreams together. Jessica's breath caught as a wave of warmth washed over her. No promises were made in stone, nothing guaranteed. But in this moment, she dared to dream a little more. Okay, she said, nodding slightly, her heart pounding with unfamiliar resolve. Let us do this. Then, almost on cue, a sudden shout broke the moment's tenderness as a playful group of young adults ambushed each other with snowballs in the distance. The sheer joy of it struck Jessica, and she laughed, giving in to the lightness of the moment. But as laughter rang in the air, a rush of exhilaration surged through her, mingled with fear of what lay ahead. Let us just walk for a while, see where this goes. Tom suggested, a hint of mischief in his smile. Wherever you lead, I'm willing to follow, she said, feeling the thrill of possibility. And yet, a flicker of doubt lingered in her heart. The unknown stretched out before them, dark and uncharted, but in that moment, it felt just a little less daunting. Would she find the courage to leave behind the boxes of her past? As they took their first steps together into the night, Jessica felt part of something bigger than herself. This was just the start, but would it lead to the awakening she craved? The light snow began to fall as they strolled down the quiet street, tiny flakes dancing through the wispy beams of light. Tom glanced sideways at Jessica, his eyes sparkling with mischief. So, where do you want to go? He asked playfully, kicking a stray snowball that sent a puff of powder into the air. Jessica considered, her heart racing with each passing moment. She had always been a planner, organizing every aspect of her life meticulously. Yet here she was, celebrating spontaneity. I don't know, maybe somewhere we can talk. Perfect. He exclaimed, his face lighting up with enthusiasm. There's a bookstore cafe down the road. They have the coziest corners. How about that? Heat rushed to her cheeks at the mention of a bookstore. A cafe? That sounds lovely, actually. As they walked, she changed the music in her mind, focusing on the rhythm of adventure instead of the clanging reminder of responsibilities. She gazed at the storefronts that lined the street, their windows twinkling with holiday decorations. Just a week ago, this scene felt distant, but tonight it felt alive, pulsating with possibilities. Tom started to share stories from his own past. He spoke animatedly about his travels, the Cape Cod summers, hiking in the Rockies, chasing sunsets. Jessica listened, captivated. "It sounds amazing," she replied, a smile creeping across her lips. "I've hardly left this town since Mia was born." "And that's okay," he said, his tone earnest. "What matters is starting now. You have so many dreams untapped. Imagine where they'd take you." Her heart thudded. What would it feel like to step into those dreams? As they reached the cafe, he held the door open, and a rush of warmth enveloped them. It was small and inviting, the smell of coffee mingling with the faint scent of old books. Their eyes found a quiet corner table, tucked away under warm lights. Over steaming mugs, Jessica felt a comfort settle between them, a warmth unlike anything she'd experienced in years. "So, what's next after being a writer?" he asked, leaning toward her with genuine interest. "I envision writing stories that connect people, maybe even a novel someday," she confessed, her voice gaining strength. "But it feels like a fairy tale." Tom shook his head. "Fairy tales become real when you make them happen. What if the first step is simply putting pen to paper or fingers to keys?" "You make it sound so easy," she laughed, though doubt lingered. "It can be. But it'll also be messy and imperfect." He dropped his gaze for a moment, then met hers again. "I went through the same fear when I started creating my own path. Trust me, those first steps hurt. But you have to allow yourself to feel the discomfort." Jessica nodded slowly, absorbing his words. She never thought of fear as a friend on her journey. "Have you always known what you wanted to do?" "Not really," he admitted, leaning back. "But the uncertainty became part of the adventure. I learned to welcome the flaws." Somewhere inside her, something began to shake loose. What if she took these flawed, uncertain steps instead of letting fear bind her? Outside, the laughter from the snowball fight faded into the distance, but the thought of playful abandon seeped into her heart. All this talk of dreams filled her with untapped energy. She smiled again, feeling lighter, but as her phone chimed again, anxiety wrapped around her like a scarf. Mia needed to be picked up soon. Would this connection fade just as quickly in the face of her duties? Tom's eyes seemed to follow her thoughts. "You okay?" he asked, concern softening his features. "Yeah, just thinking," she replied, her heart racing faster. "About responsibilities." "Responsibilities are tricky," he said. "You can't erase them, but you can reshape how they fit into your life. If you needed help, would you accept it?" Her breath caught in her throat. No one had ever offered to share her load before. I don't know," she admitted, feeling vulnerable. "Maybe take it one day at a time?" he said gently. "One small step toward your dream, with me right beside you." Jessica stared into her coffee, pretending it held all the answers. She wanted to believe, to step into the unknown with him. But could she really do that and still be a good mother? As silence folded around them, the weight of her dilemma sunk in. Was she brave enough to let help in? With heart pulsing and hope quietly rising, she looked into Tom's eyes, searching for her answer. Would she take that leap or let fear pull her back? The cafe hummed with the soft sounds of coffee being poured and distant chatter. Jessica felt suspended in the moment, torn between her heart thumping for the life she yearned to dive into and the responsibilities that loomed like dark clouds. Tom's gaze was steady, unwavering, as if he were urging her to reveal more. "Why do you feel like you can't dream?" he asked, his voice gentle but probing. "What's holding you back?" The question hung in the air between them, heavy with possibilities. She took a deep breath, organizing the jumble of her thoughts. "It's not just me anymore. I have Mia to think about, her needs, her future. What if I chase a dream and it doesn't work out? Tom offered a sympathetic nod, his eyebrows knitting together. And what if it does? What if you inspire her to chase her own dreams? Sometimes, being brave is about showing others how to be brave too. Jessica felt the weight of his words. She had always believed that being a good mother meant sacrificing her desires for the sake of her child. But what if that sacrifice came at the cost of teaching Mia resilience? She looked out the window, watching the snow gently cover the world outside. I want to be a role model for her, not just someone who gives up. The words slipped out, raw and honest. How had it come to this? This quiet conversation was unraveling deep-seated convictions, and she wasn't sure how much more she could handle. You're the only one who sets those limits, he said, leaning in closer, his eyes shining. What if you schedule time to write? Just a little each day, building it into your routine. You might be surprised how that influences both you and Mia. Her heart skipped. Could she carve out pockets of time, just for her? It sounded almost revolutionary. But what if I fail? Failure's just a stepping stone, he replied, his smile warm and reassuring. You learn and grow. Just think of it as a discovery process. The cafe was warming up around her, but it felt like the chill of doubt clung to her thoughts. It's easy for you to say. You're not responsible for anyone else. Tom sighed, but his expression changed, a flicker of understanding crossing his face. You're right, but I've seen families where moms take risks and it pays off. I guess I just believe that stepping into yourself can only enrich your world, and Mia's too. Jessica took a sip of her coffee, feeling its heat spread through her. Maybe the warmth wasn't just from the drink, but the stirrings of hope that were rising inside her. But still, something held her back. Would you really be okay helping me? I don't want to drag anyone down if I stumble. Jessica, I want to be a part of your journey, he said, sincerity pouring from every word. I'm in this for the long haul. You don't have to worry about dragging me down, I want to lift you up. Let us share that weight. His words hung in the air, as powerful as a promise. She could feel the urge to step toward something greater hovering on the edge of her consciousness, just waiting for an invitation to become real. Yet, the shadows of her duties loomed larger with each passing moment. Okay, she whispered, the sound like a delicate thread weaving through their conversation. Let us do it. I'll start small, just a little writing when I can. But it feels huge. Tom's expression widened into a grin, a childlike glee sparkling in his eyes. That's the spirit. Just remember, I'm here for whatever you need. One day at a time, remember? She felt a rush of gratitude, a swelling of something beautiful blooming between them, a partnership of sorts. Yet still, a question loomed heavy in the back of her mind. Could she truly juggle this new dream and the life that waited for her at home? Then, as if the universe was answering her silent plea, her phone chimed harshly again, breaking the serenity. It was a message from Mia's school. Mommy, you need to come right now. Something's wrong. The panic rose in her chest like a tide, shoving aside moments of bravery. Tom's expression shifted to concern. What's wrong? I am not sure. I have to go. Without meaning to, she stood, the warmth of the cafe fading as urgency clawed at her heart. It felt as if the newfound spark was dimming right before her eyes. Wait, Jess. Let me come with you. Tom's voice was insistent, filled with a sense of purpose that grounded her. She paused, her hand resting on the door as dread twisted in her stomach. Should she let him in on this part of her life too? Was this the moment where support collided with her reality? And so, Jessica faced the door, both literally and metaphorically. Was she ready to embrace him, the possibility of a partnership amid her chaos, or would she step back into the safety of solitude? The answer loomed like the tall buildings around them, a complex structure of choices waiting for her to take that next step. As Jessica hesitated at the door, the weight of the moment pressed down on her like the thickening snow outside. The cafe felt distant now, the chatter fading into a background hum as her heart raced. She could feel Tom's eyes on her, a silent encouragement that pulled at her instinct to retreat. "We can figure this out together," he said, stepping closer. "You don't have to face this alone." His words struck a chord deep within her. In the rush of motherhood, in the quiet solitude of late nights filled with worry, she had forgotten that asking for help didn't mean she was weak. It meant she was human. Taking a breath, she turned to meet his gaze. "Okay. I'd like that. But Mia, let us go," he urged, gently guiding her towards the door. The cold air hit her like a splash of reality, jolting her from their shared warmth. As they walked together, she felt the familiar tug of anxiety knotting tight in her stomach. What could be wrong? Had something happened at school? Was Mia scared? With every step, unease washed over her like unwelcome ice water. When they reached the school, she hurried into the entrance, Tom close behind her. The soft sounds of children playing turned into echoes of dread. She could already picture Mia's little face, painted with worry, waiting for her in the office. It felt agonizingly slow as they approached the main area, her heartbeat matching the ticking clock on the wall. "Jessica!" A voice called from the office. It was the principal, her face drawn and serious. "I'm glad you're here." Panic took root in Jessica's chest. "What happened? Is Mia okay? Come in, please." The principal gestured, her tone conveying gravity. Jessica stepped into the office, a wave of concern flooding her senses. There was Mia, sitting on a chair with her legs swinging. She looked up, her big brown eyes wide and shimmering, as if she'd been holding back tears. "Mama!" Mia leapt up and flew into Jessica's arms, squeezing tightly. "It's okay, sweetheart. I'm here." Jessica stroked her hair, trying to calm the storm within her. "What's wrong?" The principal cleared her throat. "There's been an incident on the playground." Mia witnessed something troubling. Mia pulled back, her little face scrunched in worry. "I saw my friend get hurt. He fell off the swings, and I don't know if he's okay." Jessica's heart ached at the fear in her daughter's voice, every instinct wanting to shield her from the pain of others. She knelt down to look into Mia's eyes. "Did you feel scared?" Mia nodded, her lip trembling slightly. "Sweetie, it's okay to feel scared sometimes," Jessica said, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "What matters is that you were brave enough to tell someone." Mia sniffled, reaching up to touch her mother's face. "I didn't want anything bad to happen to him." Tom stood a few steps back, watching quietly, the support he offered blending with Jessica's resolve. She thought again about what he said in the cafe. What if being brave meant teaching Mia that life could be complicated, but love and courage were always stronger? "Let us make sure he's okay together," Jessica said, her voice firm. "You're not alone, Mia. I'm right here." A small smile began to break through the cloud of worry on her daughter's face. Jessica felt a mix of gratitude and added weight. This was part of her life now. It wasn't just her dreams at stake, it was Mia's trust and belief in her ability to guide them. Just then, her phone chimed again. Jessica glanced at it, her heart dropping. "A message from the hospital. We need a parent to come confirm details about the incident." Her stomach knotted again with a fresh wave of dread, and she looked back at Tom. Everything inside her fought to shove away the idea of leaving her daughter. But she knew she had to take that leap. "Tom, can you?" "Of course," he assured her, stepping forward. "I'll stay with Mia. Just go. You'll figure it out." Tears stung her eyes as she glanced at Mia, who held on to Tom's hand now, place a safety net she hadn't expected. For the first time, Jessica felt the shift, the possibility of a shared burden, instead of a solitary one. "I'll be right back," she promised, but her heart already skipped ahead, uncertain. As she raced toward the hospital, a mix of hope and dread coursed through her veins. Could this really be the start of something new? A chance to not just chase her dreams but to create a world for Mia where she learned courage from her mother's steps, but the thought of what awaited her came crashing back. What if it was too late? What if the dream of a new life would slip through her fingers just like that? The road to the hospital loomed ahead, uncertain and vast. Taking a deep breath, Jessica braced herself, letting the weight of the moment settle around her. Little did she know, the crucial lesson was about to unfold in surprising ways. Would she uncover resilience in the face of her daughter's pain, or would fear take the reins once again? Jessica barely remembered her drive to the hospital. Each passing block blurred into the next, a canvas of gray and white that mirrored her turbulent thoughts. As the hospital loomed ahead, she took another deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. Inside the emergency room, the atmosphere was heavy with worry. The fluorescent lights overhead cast an unflattering glare on the faces of those waiting, each reflecting their own struggles. She spotted a nurse at the front desk, her kind eyes offering a brief sense of calm amid the chaos. "Excuse me, I'm here about the playground incident," Jessica said, her voice firm despite the quiver in her chest. The nurse glanced up, her expression softening. "Yes, of course. One moment while I check." As Jessica waited, she recalled Mia's little face, how fear hung there, heavy like a wet blanket. What if her baby girl wasn't the only one scared today? With each tick of the clock on the wall, anxiety clawed at her. Finally, the nurse returned, clipboard in hand. "You're Jessica, right? They're bringing him in now. He is stable, but the doctor will need to speak with you and your husband once he is settled." "Thank God," she whispered, a delicate thread of relief slipping into her heart. Yet, it was laced with urgency. "What happened? Is he hurt badly?" "He has a concussion but is responding well." The nurse gave a reassuring nod, and Jessica felt a weight lift, if only a little. Her thoughts shifted back to Mia. What if things didn't go well? The idea of Mia carrying this fear with her for years felt unbearable. Grappling with her own fears, she wondered how she could help her daughter navigate this when she herself was still figuring it out. Moments stretched into what felt like eternity until a doctor emerged, scrubs slightly wrinkled. He had a warm, earnest demeanor, but Jessica could read the gravity in his eyes. "Miss Cooper," he said, his voice steady. "Your son is being treated well. He is going to be okay, but we need to discuss the next steps." "My son?" Jessica's heart dropped. "Excuse me? I meant to say my daughter. My daughter saw the accident." "I'm sorry," her words trailed off, confusion and urgency colliding as fear flickered again, the doctor's brow furrowed slightly. "I understand. Your daughter was a witness, and that's important to address too." Jessica nodded, her mind racing. "We're trying to help her through this." "Can I see him?" "Of course. But I strongly advise preparing her for what she may see." He is a bit shaken but lucid. Jessica felt a blend of sadness and resolve. This was bigger than just Mia's fear, this was about teaching her how to live in a world where uncertainty coexisted with hope. "Thank you," she replied, tears brimming as she followed the doctor deeper into the hospital. The sound of her shoes echoed off the linoleum floor, a rhythmic counter to her straining heart. They approached a room, the door slightly ajar. The doctor paused, giving a gentle nudge to her shoulder as she stood at the threshold. "Go in when you're ready." Jessica took a breath, her heart pounding in her ears, and pushed the door open. Inside lay a boy maybe a year older than Mia, his eyes large and questioning beneath tousled hair. "Hey," she said softly, approaching the bed. "I'm Jessica. You did so well today." He blinked at her, embarrassment blooming on his cheeks. "I'm sorry," he croaked, voice quavering. "Hey, it's okay. What matters is that you're here now," she reassured him, kneeling beside him. As she looked into his eyes, she understood that this wasn't just comfort for him, it was for Mia too. Learning that sometimes, things happen beyond our control, but we could always find a way through. "Can we talk?" she asked, sensing a depth that linked them. Just then, her phone vibrated in her pocket, a stark reminder of Mia's need for her. Feeling torn, she glanced back at the boy. What would happen if she allowed fear to hold her back again? "Can you hold on for just a minute?" she asked him, voice wavering. As she stepped out to take the call, she looked back at him, heart heavy. She was caught between her responsibilities and the moment of courage unfolding. What if she couldn't find the words to comfort her daughter or this boy? "Mom?" Mia's soft voice on the other end pulled her back into the present. "Are you coming back? I'm scared." And suddenly everything shifted. Jessica's heart raced again, a flicker of determination igniting. "I'm on my way right now, baby. We'll get through this together." With unshed tears in her eyes, she clutched her phone tighter. She needed to learn to be brave for them both. As she headed back in, she stole one last glance at the boy, who was watching her with an earnest and searching gaze. What truths would they all uncover by facing their fears together? Jessica stepped back inside the room, feeling an unsettling mix of emotions swirling within her. The boy's gaze met hers, and she offered a hesitant smile, trying to project the strength she so desperately needed to find. "Sorry about that," she said gently, trying to bridge the gaps. "I just needed to check on someone important." His eyes widened slightly, and he nodded, his expression shifting from guilt to curiosity. "Is everything okay?" he asked, his voice still shaky but more assured this time. "It will be," she replied, kneeling next to him once more. "You're brave for going through this. I want to make sure you feel supported. I think you've been through a lot." He looked down, fiddling with the edge of the blanket draped over him. "I didn't mean for it to happen. I didn't see her." Jessica felt her heart sink, the weight of his guilt enveloped the room. "Accidents happen, sweetheart. They're part of life. What we do next is what matters." She reached out, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. It was a small gesture, but the warmth of human connection seemed to ignite something in him, a flicker of reassurance. "I'm scared," he confessed, looking deep into her eyes. There was a shared understanding in that moment, two souls crossing through the fog of uncertainty. "Me too," Jessica admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "But together, we can face it. It's okay to be scared." Outside the room, Jessica could hear the bustling sounds of the hospital, but in that small space, it felt like a sanctuary. Her son was in another room, and though she longed to be with him, she knew this moment was poignant and crucial. "Can I tell you something?" she asked, her heart beating faster. He looked at her expectantly. "You're not alone. Your fear is valid. You'll heal from this, just as the little girl you couldn't see will." The boy nodded but didn't respond. Jessica's chest felt heavy with shared emotions. How could she reach him more? Healing wasn't just about comforting, it was also about building resilience against life's unexpected blows. Suddenly, a fresh wave of urgency gripped her. "I have to go to my daughter now. She needs me," she said, standing up. "But I want you to remember this, it's okay to be afraid, but it's also okay to fight that fear." He smiled faintly, the corners of his mouth lifting just a bit. "Thanks, Jessica. That helps." As she turned to leave, a question prickled the back of her mind. Could he say the same for Mia? Jessica's heart raced at the thought of her little girl, alone and scared, grappling with a world that seemed too big. Stepping out of the boy's room, she felt a swell of purpose urging her deeper into the hospital. She needed to surround Mia with love, to show her that fear was not a wall but a stepping stone to understanding. Each step echoed as she traversed the sterile hallways, her thoughts shattered by flashes of Mia's frightened eyes. She reached a waiting area, pausing to gather herself. This wasn't just about comfort, it was about finding ways to uplift Mia and empower her to overcome her worries. "Mom!" Mia's voice rang out like a lifeline, cutting through the noise. Jessica turned toward the sound, her heart swelling as she spotted her little girl, twisting nervously in her seat. "Mia, I'm here." She rushed over, her instinct to protect igniting fiercely. But as she wrapped her arms around Mia, squeezing her tight, Jessica saw something else flickering in her daughter's eyes, fear mixed with curiosity. "What if he gets scared again?" Mia whispered, her voice wavering but edged with concern not just for herself, but the boy. Something clicked in Jessica's mind. Their lives were tangled even more than she had thought. "We'll face it together," she said firmly, letting the warmth of her embrace seep into Mia's trembling frame. "You and me, always." Mia blinked at her, confusion breaking the tension. "What do you mean?" Jessica opened her mouth to answer, but right then, the door of the boy's room swung open. The doctor stepped out, concern crossing his features. "Excuse me, Miss Cooper?" he called. "We need to discuss some important details concerning your son." As Mia's grip on her hand tightened, a million thoughts raced through Jessica's mind. Would they go through this journey together, united by fear and bravery? What will happen next? She wondered as the corridor stretched before her, uncertainty looming like a shadow beside her. They were about to learn what it really meant to face their fears, together. Jessica felt her heart race as she followed the doctor into the small consult room. Her mind swirled with a mix of dread and hope, each heartbeat echoing in her ears. Mia stood at her side, peering up with wide eyes, filled with unanswered questions. Jessica knelt down and gently stroked her hair. "Stay close, sweetheart," she whispered, trying to imbue her voice with calm. The doctor cleared his throat, making eye contact before looking down at his clipboard. "I'm glad you're both here. I want to discuss what we found during the examination." His tone was measured, but it did little to ease the tension that had settled in the room. Jessica's breath hitched. She felt Mia squeeze her hand tighter, and Jessica could feel the little girl's warmth seeping into her. "Is it bad?" Mia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "No, not bad. We just need to talk honestly about your brother's condition," the doctor responded. "It's more complicated than we hoped." Jessica's heart sank. The word complicated lingered in the air like a storm cloud, overshadowing hopes that had already begun to flicker like candlelight. "What do you mean?" she pressed, the fear starting to churn in her stomach. "The accident caused some trauma to his brain, which affects both his physical coordination and his emotions. For now, the focus is on rehabilitation. He may need more time to adjust than we anticipated." The doctor's expression softened, his eyes kinder under the harsh fluorescent lights of the room. Tears threatened to spill down Jessica's cheeks. She had anticipated challenges, but the thought of her son struggling to get back to the old him felt like being pushed off a cliff. "Will he be okay?" she finally asked, unable to mask the quiver in her voice. "I believe so," the doctor replied cautiously. "With therapy and family support, many children can overcome hurdles like this. It's crucial to be patient." Mia tugged at Jessica's sleeve, her tiny frame radiating worry. "Will he still play soccer with me?" Jessica felt a wave of protectiveness over both her children. "Of course he will, sweetheart. We just need to help him get stronger first." "Can we help him now?" Mia asked, her innocence piercing through the heaviness of the moment. Jessica's heart swelled with pride for her daughter's bravery. "Yes, we can. We can start right now by being there for him. He will need us, and together, we can be his strength." The doctor nodded approvingly. "Absolutely, the mental support from the family is essential during recovery. In fact, I recommend you all spend time together as much as possible. Share stories, engage in positive activities. It'll help him feel connected." Mia's gaze darted between her mother and the doctor, absorbing every word. Can we do art? He loves to draw. Yes, art is perfect, Jessica said, a flicker of joy igniting in her heart. We can create together. She turned back to the doctor, her voice steadying. Thank you for everything. We'll do whatever it takes. As the conversation continued about resources and support, Jessica couldn't shake her thoughts of that boy, the one she had comforted earlier. How was he feeling right now? Did he have someone to support him too? Once their talk concluded, Jessica took Mia's hand, her heart still in turmoil. They stepped back out into the bright hallway, the sounds of the hospital life wrapping around them like a blanket, meaningful yet overwhelming. Mom? Mia asked, breaking the silence, do you think we could visit him again? Jessica paused, taking a deep breath. That request sparked an idea, a chance to bring hope to both their families. I think we should. It might help us all heal together, she said, her voice stronger now. Mia's eyes lit up. Can we bring him cookies? Absolutely, Jessica replied, her heart warming at the thought. We'll make his favorite with extra chocolate chips too. As they walked, Jessica felt a sense of purpose growing. They weren't just facing their fears individually, they were creating a lifeline, a bridge for those who felt lost. But as they rounded the corner, Jessica's phone buzzed in her pocket. She retrieved it, seeing an unknown number flash on the screen. Instinctively, she hesitated. What did it mean? Should she answer? I need to pick this up. She turned to Mia, her heart racing again. Wait right here. Mia nodded, but Jessica felt the weight of the moment. What news awaited her on the other end? She pressed the phone to her ear, every beat of her heart echoing the uncertainty of what was to come. Hello? She said, the gripping anxiety teasing at the edges of her resolve. What if it changes everything? A voice on the other end said. The words hung heavy in the air, and her mind spiraled into what this twist might bring. As Jessica stood there, the hospital buzzing around her like a hive, her heart raced. The voice on the other end was calm, yet it sent chills down her spine. Is this Jessica Cooper? It is. Who is this? She asked, gripping her phone tighter. It's Ms. Lewis from the school. I need to talk to you about Mia's situation. Panic surged again, merging with the worries swirling in her mind. What's wrong now? Mia is struggling with her friend's accident. She's been more withdrawn than usual. We think it would help if she had someone to talk to, perhaps consider some counseling. We want her to know she isn't alone in this. The doctor's words from earlier echoed in her mind, together, we are stronger. Jessica's heart softened at the thought of Mia feeling anything less than valued. She took a deep breath, fighting the tears that threatened to leak. Okay, I understand. Thank you for letting me know. I'll make sure we talk about it, Jessica said with determination, her voice steadier now. I'll handle it. As she hung up, she turned back to where Mia waited. She saw her little girl tracing patterns on the floor with her fingers, lost in thought. Jessica walked towards her, kneeling down to meet Mia's eyes. Hey, sweetheart, she said gently. We've got work to do. What do you mean? Jessica took her daughter's hand, feeling a spark of resilience light up inside her. Remember that boy we spoke to at school? We're going to visit him. We're going to bring some cookies and some art supplies, and we're going to help him just like we'll help you. Mia nodded slowly, her eyes gleaming with hope. You mean, we can all be brave together? Exactly, Jessica replied, her heart swelling with pride. And when we help him, it might help you feel better too. We don't have to do this alone. Mia's smile broke through the earlier worry. Will he be excited to see us? Definitely, Jessica said confidently. It's wonderful to know we can support others while figuring our own thing out. As they made their way back to the car, Jessica felt lighter, a snip of courage taking root. This wasn't just about Mia healing from her friend's accident, it was about nurturing a community, togetherness, and overcoming fears hand in hand. Life would always throw challenges at them, but they could face them with open hearts. Arriving back home, they whipped up a batch of cookies together, laughter spilling over the kitchen like warm sunlight. Jessica watched Mia, joy bubbling in her spirit. Together, they filled the room with the sweet smell of chocolate chip cookies while also filling Jessica's heart with hope and determination. "Mom?" Mia began, her sweet voice pulling Jessica from her thoughts. "Yes, honey? What if we told stories instead of just cookies?" "Stories?" Jessica repeated, intrigued. "Yeah. We can create our own superheroes who help people. And they deal with things that are scary but find ways to be brave." Jessica chuckled softly, feeling the warmth of her daughter's imagination wrap around her like a cozy blanket. "That sounds amazing, Mia. Let us write some stories too. They can be about anything, you just let your heart speak." As they sat down with notebooks to fill the pages with tales of bravery and hope, Jessica felt the transformative power of this moment blossom within her. The past burdens began to shift, replaced by dreams they could pursue together. She glimpsed a future where she could be a role model, not just for Mia, but for everyone around her. A newfound vibrancy filled the air between them. This was only the beginning of their adventure, a journey woven with stories, love, and community. Mia looked up with sparkly eyes. "Do you think we're brave enough?" "We are," Jessica said, her heart full. "Because we're brave together." As night descended, wrapping them in its embrace, both mother and daughter knew the path ahead would be filled with light and darkness alike. No matter what life threw their way, their bond strong, earnest, and true would guide them through it all. That evening, as they shared laughter over their stories, basking in the light of possibilities, Jessica felt something shift deeply within her. She was finally ready not just for her dreams, but for this beautiful, messy journey of life intertwined with love and courage. And with that realization, Jessica's heart swelled with an undeniable truth: together, they could face it all. They would create a world where support, courage, and connection flourished. The end was only the beginning. Before you go, you need to subscribe now to the channel for more incredible transformations like this. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like to feed the algorithm, and don't forget to comment your thoughts and feelings about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this journey of strength. Don't wait not even one more second to share.